Mustang Football brought to you by Ackley Building Center, your one-stop center for projects around your home, office, or yard. Ackley Building Center, located at 1402 Mill Street in Brush. Roosevelt came into the game tonight outscoring opponents 54-7 in the first quarter of games they've played so far this year. Here at Legion Field, they are up 7-6. So Fort Morgan doing a good job of limiting Roosevelt here. But they do have the football, and it is a third and short play. The ball again on the ground. I think Roosevelt recovers as Urban having trouble handing the ball off to his running backs. It'll be a loss, and it'll bring up a 4th and 3.
The Roosevelt coaches have got to be over there thinking, we're snake bit. How can we fumble the ball 3 times and have all these penalties? But it looks like they're going to go for it on 4th.
They will go for it as the field will be spread. 2 men, 1 each direction. 3 men in the backfield for Urban under center. He'll send a man in motion. That is Kratz. Now he'll send Holguin in motion behind him. Urban looking around. He will take his time. Could have been a false start there. And Urban will keep it himself. He'll dive forward, and it looks like he might be just short of the first down. We'll see what the officials say. It'll probably require a measurement.
Looks like he needed 3 and he got 2.
Urban dove forward. For all intents and purposes, a false start missed by the officials. So this spot really crucial if Fort Morgan can get the football back. While the chain game comes out, we'll tell you that Fort Morgan football is brought to you by Buildings by Design. The most important thing to buying a new building or starting a new design build project is picking the right company to build it. Call Pat Walter, Travis Lefevre, or Jared Samples for your free bid. 970-842-5837 or visit them online at buildingsbydesign.com. After the measurement, Urban was just short, and Fort Morgan will take over the football again. Good field position here for Fort Morgan at the 42-yard line, 41-yard line of Roosevelt territory.
Alex, I think the officials pulled the Fort Morgan Volunteer Fire Department chain crew out there just as a courtesy to Roosevelt because that ball was clearly a yard short.
Probably another way for them to get mentioned on the air here, too, is the officials doing well to publicize. Martins will go under center. He'll take over the ball with 11:15 showing here in the second quarter. He will turn and fake the handoff. Now he's going to run an option. Pitch it to Alexander, who goes off the right side. He'll be dragged down by a Roosevelt tackler. After gaining about a yard, it'll bring up a 2nd and 9.
11th carry for Alexander. On that one, just a 1-yard play, kind of an option. I imagine that they're probably going to have to go to the air here on 2nd and long.
So the 2nd and 9 play, we'll see the ball spotted at the 40-yard line of Roosevelt territory on the far hash. Again, the teams switch sides there after the quarter. Now Roosevelt moving towards Fort Morgan now moving towards the north end zone. Martin's under center, 2 men spread wide, 2 men in the backfield. He will fake that handoff. He will fumble the football as he tries to get the option play to Alexander, and Roosevelt will recover at the 46-yard line of their own territory. An ill-advised play that time by Martins, who should have probably just hung on to the football and gone down and taken the loss, but instead he fumbles the football and Roosevelt takes over.
That's a really hard thing for a high school quarterback to do, to know when it's better to eat that ball than to try and make the big play. But when you have the momentum kind of on your side, you're in a close ball game with a really tough opponent, you have to make that play and eat the ball.
Roosevelt will take over the football at the 45-yard line. 1st and 10. Urban again will turn and hand the ball off to one of his running backs, who has a big hole, and he's off to the races now down through the sideline. Hard to tell who had the football that time, as a lot of men put their hands on it. The man who ends up with it, Juan Sanchez for Roosevelt, and there's the big play that we have been talking about here early on in the broadcast. That play goes for the touchdown.
Now Morgan's going to have to respond. Morgan's going to have to say, we're not going to go back out there with the wide eyes. We're going to go back there, go through with our game plan, and try and stay in this ball game.
Rios will be on to attempt the PAT out of the Urban hold. It is down, up, and it is good. So Roosevelt takes a 14-6 lead. 10:13 showing on the clock here at Legion Field. You're listening to Mustang Football on B106 and B106.com. A 55-yard touchdown run by Juan Sanchez puts Roosevelt up by 8 as they will tee the ball up at the 40-yard line. Lincoln Schultz, the kicker for Roosevelt. He steps back, gets the okay from the referee, and he will send it away. This one a high end-over-end kick fielded by Alexander at the 10-yard line. He will go straight up through the middle of the line, be hit by a tackler at the 25, fall forward to the 29, the 30-yard line, 29-yard line, and Fort Morgan will take their first snap from scrimmage there.
Fort Morgan's got to get their head back in this game, get over the fact that they fumbled on the last drive, and get some positive things happening for them. They've had some really good running by Alexander, and they've had, they're 2 for 2 passing. So let's hope the Mustangs get back after it.
Alexander being the one to take most of the carries. This time Fitzsimmons in there. A man spread wide right for Martins, who will turn and hand the ball off to Fitzsimmons, who has nothing at first. A second effort, though, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Gets just maybe about a yard on that play. Really dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage, but that'll bring up a 2nd and 9 on the second effort.
Fort Morgan's line has got to get back into the attack mode. That time there were 3 or 4 Roosevelt defenders meeting Fitzsimmons as he got the handoff for Martins.
That last touchdown run kind of took the wind out of the sails here of the student section in front of us, as they had a lot to cheer for, only down by 1, but now the score 14-6, 9:31 and counting on the clock here in the second quarter. One man spread wide right for Martins, who's under center. He'll turn and hand the ball off to Fitzsimmons, who goes right this time, picks up about another yard, and that'll bring up a 3rd and 8.
Roosevelt's got 9 kids in the box. They're realizing that Fort Morgan is pretty one-dimensional at this point, and Fort Morgan's going to try and run. They're daring Fort Morgan to put the ball in the air.
Martins already has thrown a pick here tonight, and it will be tough for Harrison Chisholm to try to want to go back to the air here, but faced with this 3rd and long, we might see it as the Mustangs spread 4 men wide, 3 to the near side, 1 to the high side, 1 man in the backfield. That is Bohm, likely in there to block. Martins under center. He will roll to the left side. This near side looking downfield. He'll put up the ball. He's got Fitzsimmons open, but he overthrows him, and the pass will fall incomplete, and that'll bring up a 4th and long, and we'll see the punting unit for the first time tonight for Fort Morgan.
Not the kind of drive you want coming back after a fumble. Or was it an interception on the last drive? I can't remember.
The touchdown run by Juan Sanchez of Roosevelt was the previous play, so Roosevelt's defense steps up to the task after putting the points on the board. Zwetzig back in the game. He's averaging 40 yards a punt, and it is blocked, and Roosevelt is the only ones around. They'll be picked up and down there, as I believe Zwetzig gets the tackle. No, Cody Sills on the tackle for Fort Morgan. Roosevelt has the short field, starting this drive off at the 17-yard line of Fort Morgan territory.
When it rains, it pours. Fort Morgan had a couple bad offensive drives. Then the line just let the defenders back there. Zwetzig didn't have a chance to get that one off.
Yeah, really nothing Zwetzig could do. You're right, Kevin, as his timing was good, but he really didn't get enough time from the line. So the short field will be had by Roosevelt. Urban under center will turn, hand it off to his fullback, who gets met immediately through the middle of the line, picks up maybe a yard, and it'll be a 2nd and 9.
Yeah, Sanchez got met right as he got the ball. He's lucky to get a couple yards on forward progress.
The ball will be spotted closer to this near hash, but towards the middle of the field. Morgan's defense really needing to come up with a big defensive stand here and limit the damage that Roosevelt can put on. Urban again under center. He'll turn, hand the ball to Holguin, who goes left this time. He'll be met there by 2 tacklers for Fort Morgan. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage, but that is it. Jose Miranda in on that tackle, and that'll bring up a 3rd and 9.
Well, Fort Morgan's offensive line is kind of down in the dumps. Their defensive line is playing inspired football at this point.
Really, if you could name a player that's been the key player for Fort Morgan so far, it has been Jose Miranda. He has the touchdown and has been tackling almost everybody that he meets. Again, Holguin gets the ball. He goes left this time. He'll be tackled just shy of the first down marker. We have a flag down on the field, and it will, again, go against Roosevelt, the holding call. So we'll erase that run by Holguin.
I'm not saying that they've been holding all season, but this might explain why they had so much success on offense earlier in their other games.
There's a conspiracy to be looked into there, Kevin, as you make a good point. The referees will count it back as they're actually looking towards the Morgan bench to see if they want to accept the penalty. And they will. So bring up a third and very long country mile, 20.
All the way back on the 25-yard line.
Check that. It'll be a 3rd and 18 play. Now one of the officials running in to clarify.
Roosevelt probably in 2-down territory. In the box that we're in up here, I haven't been able to watch the PATs. Do you think he'd be able to kick a field goal from this far out?
I'm not sure. From what I saw in warm-ups, Rios' leg was good enough from the PAT, but he didn't have much after that.
So probably 2-down territory. So Roosevelt's looking to pick up at least half, if not a little bit more, of the 18 yards on this play to make 4th down more manageable.
Rios spread wide to this near side. A receiver spread to the far side. 3 men in the backfield. Urban under center. He will give the ball. No, he will keep it himself, looking to pass, and he's got room to run if he wants it. Looking to pass still. Has a man open downfield as he fires it, and it will fall incomplete. Chris Pineda on the coverage there.
I think he was past the line of scrimmage on that, Alex.
I believe he was as well. We'll see some more yellow on the field from the referees. It did look like he was close, and it will be an illegal forward pass. The loss of down, and that'll bring up a 4th and 20. So that play will count as the penalty will be enforced from the spot. Yes, it will be enforced from the spot. They'll mark off the 5 yards. And so it will actually be a 4th and 21.
Yeah, he started to run and then just didn't keep track of where the line of scrimmage was.
Check that even further, a 4th and 23. They'll spread 4 men wide. They'll throw the bubble screen over to Holguin, who gets about to the original line of scrimmage, breaks a tackle, and gets down there to the 11-yard line of Morgan territory, but the defense holds up, and on the 4th down play, Roosevelt does not get enough, and they will turn the ball over on downs.
Yeah, the Fort Morgan defender out there had him, went for the big hit, didn't wrap him up, and Holguin on a nice little spin move was able to pick up another 5 or 6, but not enough for the first down.
So that drive stalls for Roosevelt after having the great field position after the blocked punt, and they are not able to capitalize on that. 7:02 showing here remaining in the first half. We're at Legion Field. Roosevelt leads 14-6 over Fort Morgan. Ball at the 12-yard line of Morgan territory. Martin's under center, turns, fakes the handoff. No, he gives it to his fullback who goes through the left side. Jared Bohm with the carry, and he will pick up about 8. It'll be a 2nd and 2.
First carry for Bohm of the night. He carried a lot more last week in the victory over Erie.
Last week, Bohm, 11 carries, 41 yards. Did not record a touchdown. He does have one on the season. And Fort Morgan will go into the huddle, discuss how they want to attack this 2nd down and 2 play.
If Morgan can get down and score here, use up the rest of the clock and go into the half, down by 1 or 2, that'd be great.
Martins again turns, hands it off to Alexander, who's got room to run off the right side. Blockers in front of him. He'll be caught from behind, but he will get the first down to the 27-yard line. 1st and 10.
Back to Alexander, his 12th carry of the day. He's going to be a little sore tomorrow, but if he helps his team go to victory, it'll be a happy.
I always heard from football coaches that the pain lasts a little while, but the glory lasts forever. That's kind of what Chisholm has to be telling Alexander, as he certainly will be a little bit gassed after this first half. Martins will break the huddle. The ball spotted at the far hash on the 27-yard line. 1st and 10 for Fort Morgan. Martins again turns to his backs in the backfield and relays the play to him. I don't know if again, the ball carrier this time actually will be Fitzsimmons. He'll go left side on a bit of a counter play, pick up about 4, and it'll bring up a 2nd and 6.
As long as we can get 3 or 4 yards up the middle or on the running plays, we've got to stay with that and then watch for Roosevelt to come in and start packing in the box and then try and throw again. That last time he had some guys open, he just didn't get the ball to him.
Martins gets the play from the sideline, goes into the huddle, and they will break it there. The ball spotted at the 30-yard line, right dead center in the middle of the field. 3 men in the backfield. Martins turns, gives it to his fullback, who's met immediately at the line of scrimmage. That'll be no gain, about a yard by the official on the far side. Jared Bohm credited with the carry. It'll bring up a third and 6, long 6.
With 5 minutes and counting on the clock, this is a really important play for Fort Morgan to get that first down and keep this drive going. You don't want to give Roosevelt the ball with enough time to go down and score.
Especially after the big defensive stand and the shakiness on the punt already after having one blocked. Chisholm has to be a little bit wary of sending his punt team out there if the Mustangs don't pick up this first down. 3 men again in the backfield, 2 tight ends. Martin's under center. He'll turn, hand the ball off to Bohm, who will be met again immediately at the line of scrimmage. Again, he picks up about a half yard. And a 4th down upcoming. We'll see the punt unit come on the field for Fort Morgan.
Well, I hope Zwetzig tells his lineman to block this time, because it would be a catastrophe to give up another block punt at this point of the game.
After the defense did a great job on the last Roosevelt possession. 1 man deep. Zwetzig receives a bit of a high snap, is able to get the punt off, and it's a beauty. Down there is Trevin Stadler, who takes the ball at the 30-yard line. He'll reverse his field, go all the way to the other sideline, and he'll be brought down after a return of 11 to the, check that, 12, the 42-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10 there for the Rough Riders.
Roosevelt's got some shifty runners back catching those punts. You know, Zwetzig was out last week, but even with only playing the 2 games, he's still 8th in the state with his punting average of 40 coming into tonight's game.
He's done a very good job, and he was a little bit missed last week, although Jose Miranda, kid can do it all. He filled in for him and did a fine job. But it is nice to have that weapon back out there for Fort Morgan. Ball spotted at the 42-yard line. 1st and 10. Urban, again under center, will turn and hand the ball off to Holguin, who goes left this time, has a bit of room, is able to shake a tackler, gets the first down. That'll be a gain of 13 into Morgan territory, the 44-yard line.
Yeah, it was a nice run by Holguin. He's getting the ball a lot for Roosevelt, that being his 5th carry, or 6th carry.
Rios spread this near side, a receiver spread to the far side, man in motion, and we'll see a flag now from the officials. And Kevin, how much do you want to bet this is going to be on Roosevelt?
Certainly seems to be the way the game is going so far. I can't remember a penalty on Morgan yet, except for the opening kickoff out of bounds.
That is true. The opening kick out of bounds was the only penalty issued to the Mustangs. The false start or procedure penalty given to the Rough Riders. That'll push them back 5 yards to the 49, where it'll be a 1st and 15.
Fort Morgan's got to put another defensive stand together. That kind of the team's putting everything on the defense tonight.
Clock moving, 3:40 showing on it. Again, the ball given to Holguin, who goes off that left side. The counter play. He'll pick up about 4, maybe get back to the about 3, just shy of the initial line of scrimmage, and that'll bring up a 2nd and long.
Yeah, again, a Fort Morgan defender had him for no gain. Holguin, a good tough runner, bounces off and ends up with a couple yards.
And we've seen that play now from Roosevelt, where they will turn and hand the ball to Holguin, who reverses the direction that everybody's going. This time the ball goes to the fullback, running hard. Christian Kratz with the carry. Picks up about 2 through the middle of the line. Check that 3, and it'll be a 3rd and 10.
Both teams kind of playing a cat and mouse game, running up the middle some, running to the side some. Sometimes the defense guesses correctly. I'm thinking if I'm Fort Morgan's defense, I'm guessing pass on 3rd and 10.
You would almost have to expect it. 2 men spread wide, 1 each direction. Urban under center. Holguin goes in motion. He'll fake the toss while Urban looking to pass. He's rolling left. He looks to the left sideline, and he will throw the ball out of bounds. Caught there by one of the coaching staff, I believe, for Roosevelt. Very excited to make that reception. But it doesn't count. He was not wearing a white top. He's wearing a black top, and that'll bring up a 4th down play.
And it looks like Roosevelt's going to go into punt formation, figuring with 3 minutes left on the clock, let's bury Fort Morgan way back with poor field territory and go from there.
Fort Morgan will take a timeout, and we'll step aside as well. This timeout is brought to you by Edwards Right Price Market and Flowerland, located at 1201 East Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan. Stop by and get what you need to refuel on game days. You're listening to Mustang Football on B106 and B106.com. Mustang Football brought to you by Morgan Federal Bank, your one-stop shop for all of your banking and investment needs, from checking to savings to IRAs. 321 Ensign Street, Morgan Federal Bank. There's a difference. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The 4th down play here for Roosevelt from the Morgan 45. They'll come out in punt formation, Will Roosevelt. 2 men deep for Fort Morgan. Ulysses Hernandez, the near man. And we'll try and get a number on the far man. Semler will receive a high snap, puts the ball really high up into the air. A good punt. Fair catch waved for by Fitzsimmons. He'll let it bounce, and it will roll all the way down to the 2-yard line, where contact will be made. The 3-yard line is what we'll call it. And Fort Morgan has a lot of real estate to make up if they want to get into the end zone, and only 2 minutes and 38 seconds to do so.
Roosevelt, you don't get to this point where you're 3-0 and soundly defeating teams without a lot of weapons. That was a great punt by Semler. His averages got him 17th in the state at this point in 3A. So another good weapon for the Roosevelt Rough Riders.
His first punt of record, at least, inside the 20-yard line for Semler. So 97 yards separates Fort Morgan from the Roosevelt end zone. 2:38 on the clock. Martins will be under center, turn, hand the ball off to his running back, who will go left. And the clock will be stopped. You can credit Alexander on the carry. I think Fort Morgan will take, check that. Roosevelt will take their first time out of the half.
Yeah, Roosevelt thinking, let's punt, get them down in territory where they're not going to be able to get much going, use all our timeouts, and then maybe get the ball back with a minute. And with their offense, that's a good bet.
And with the way that their special teams has played already with the punt block, not a bad idea by Nolan Eaton, the head coach over there at Roosevelt. Can hear the train off in the distance as it is rolling through. The skies have gone completely dark here. A fair amount of people traveling from the Roosevelt side, and a pretty good amount here on this near side, on the Fort Morgan side. As you can see, the student sections to our left, or check that, our right and down here. They're standing there. A little bit small in the numbers this evening. A gorgeous night. Beautiful to play football.
A beautiful night. A team coming off of 2 great road victories. You'd think the home fans would be here to support them and keep it going at home.
We do see several people, not all of the students standing, some of them electing to sit. So out of the timeout, it'll be a 2nd and 7 play. Check that 2nd and 8. Martins will go under center. 2 men in the backfield. He'll turn, hand the ball off to his fullback. We'll see a flag and probably a procedure call on Fort Morgan. That'll send them back half the distance.
Wow, I'm sure at that last timeout, Chisholm told him, no mistakes. We're on the 5-yard line. We can't make any mistakes. And here they move it back to the 2.5.
So that'll bring up to about the initial line of scrimmage. We'll call it 2nd and 10 after the half the distance penalty. The clock does stop with that penalty, so a gift, a free timeout, if you will, given to Roosevelt there with the penalty. And Fort Morgan facing a bit of a hole. Martins will be under center. He'll have 3 men in the backfield, 2 tight ends. Taking his time on the snap count as Martins receives it, fumbles the football. No, he keeps it himself. I think that was a broken play. They'll give him forward progress as he gets actually pushed all the way back into the end zone. But with the forward progress, he'll get to the 5-yard line, and we'll see another timeout taken by Roosevelt. We'll step aside as well. This timeout is brought to you by Edwards Right Price Market and Flowerland, located at 1201 East Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan. Stop by and get what you need to refuel on game days. You're listening to Mustang Football on B106 and B106.com. A 3rd and 9 play here as Fort Morgan is trailing Roosevelt 14-6, 2:19 showing remaining in the half here at Legion Field. Martins will go under center from his own 3-yard line. He'll hand the ball off to his deep back, who picks up a couple yards off the right side, doesn't get much, and we'll see another Roosevelt timeout. So a good job of clock management here by Roosevelt. Before that play was run during the timeout, Harrison Chisholm ran out, walked all the way out to the huddle. You could see he was not very happy with James Martins, as he was very, very stiff and decisive with what he was saying. I think Chisholm will have a few words with his offense here to make sure that they get back to moving the football like they did early on in this game. Zwetzig will be out to punt, and it looks like there will be probably a punt block on for Roosevelt. Trevin Stadler will go back to receive. He plants himself at the 42-yard line. Zwetzig receives the snap. He will get it away. Another good kick by Zwetzig. Gives no chance for Stadler to return it at the 45-yard line of his own territory. Check that. Goes out of bounds at the 46. And Roosevelt will have the ball with 2 minutes and 6 seconds showing on the clock.
Yeah, that's going to help Zwetzig's average, because that was about a 48-yard punt. 48-yard punt. Plus, what a great punt for the team. You're on your own 5-yard line. You got them coming to block it, and you kick it to where they can't return it. Net yardage was huge on that punt.
Zwetzig literally at the back of the end zone when he received that snap. And now Urban will go to work. He'll hand the ball off to Holguin, who goes again off that left side. The same counter play that we've seen from Roosevelt probably now 5 or 6 times. Holguin will pick up 7 or 8. Let's call it 8, and it'll be a 2nd and 2.
And he didn't get out of bounds, so the clock's running, and Roosevelt's out of timeouts.
They are into Morgan territory, and again, the trap play goes to Kratz, who will pick up the first down, temporarily stopping the clock as he went left side. They'll spot the ball at the 41-yard line of Morgan territory, get the chain set the ball, and the clock will continue to run. It is dipped under a minute 40 at 1:38. Urban gets the snap from under center. He'll keep it himself this time, pushes forward through the middle of the line, picks up about 4, and that'll bring up a 2nd and 6. Like you said, Kevin, no timeouts remaining for Roosevelt, so they're going to have to hurry up here in their 2-minute drill.
And they're back up to the line, ready to run. They're a well-disciplined team.
A 2nd and 7 play as Urban was able to pick up 3 on the quarterback keeper. Will fake the pitch. He'll look towards the near sideline with the pass, and that'll be broken up. Armando Lopez with the coverage.
I think the Roosevelt receiver heard some footsteps coming. He kind of, ducked his head and was figuring he was going to take the hit and drop the ball.
Holguin this time getting himself acquainted with the near sideline after we've seen all those plays go to the far sideline. He was the intended target, and that brings up a 3rd and 7 play on the incompletion. The clock approaching, 1 minute left to play. This time we'll see the shotgun out of Roosevelt. Urban will receive the snap, looking to pass. He's got a man open downfield. That's Holguin, who hauls it inbounds at the 8-yard line of Fort Morgan territory. That stops the clock. And a big pass play there on a 3rd down and 7. That definitely picks up the first down with the yardage there. And Fort check that, Roosevelt will have a 1st and goal. And now we'll see a timeout taken by Harrison Chisholm, who's got to get his team back into this. The big plays, like we said coming in, we knew it coming in. The big play is what Roosevelt thrives on, and they've been able to connect on a few of them here in this opening half.
Yeah, that was a huge throw, 30 yards on the play. Kind of interesting to watch Urban throw. He kind of has an unorthodox, almost sidearm motion. It's kind of like he's laying out there, and it's just hard to explain.
From a baseball standpoint, for those of you who understand the three-quarter slot, if you will, where pitchers will come almost from the side, not quite overhand and not quite exactly a sidearm, but that three-quarter slot is what Urban throws from, but he has been very accurate so far in this game. So with the timeout, the clock goes under a minute to 58 seconds. We'll see Rios spread to this far side. He's covered by one man. Another man spread to the left. Urban under center this time. He'll give the ball to his fullback, who will plunge forward for a couple yards and be stopped at the 5-yard line after gaining 3. It'll be a 2nd and goal from the 5.
Yeah, Fort Morgan's got to just hope that these 43 seconds go off the clock in a hurry, that maybe Roosevelt makes a mistake here before they punch it in.
Hurry-up offense for Roosevelt as Holguin gets the ball. He leans over the goal line. Check that. Kratz with the carry that time. Christian Kratz leans over the goal line, gets the touchdown, and that puts Roosevelt up 20-6 with 32 seconds showing on the clock.
Not what the Mustangs needed going into half. But Chisholm's proven that he can get those kids fired up at half, and he'll have them back out second half ready to fight.
The 5-yard touchdown run comes at the hands of Christian Kratz. That is his 5th rushing touchdown on the season. Rios will be in to attempt the PAT. Urban will hold. The ball is down, the kick is up, and I don't believe Rios got that one. No, he misses it wide right. And so the score will remain at 20-6. We'll keep it here for the kickoff. While we do that, I'll tell you that Mustang football is brought to you by Central Auto Parts. For all of your auto supply needs, stop by Central Auto Parts at West Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan.
Fort Morgan's going to make sure that they get this ball and control it. I wouldn't anticipate Roosevelt kicking an onside kick, but with 32 seconds left and a defense that's held Fort Morgan on all their drives except the first one.
And we've already seen I'm not sure if it was an attempted onside kick or not, but a very high kickoff that only went about 15 yards. We have seen that already from the arsenal of Lincoln Schultz, the man taking the kickoffs for Roosevelt. He will tee the ball up at the 40-yard line. 2 men deep, Alexander and Pineda for Fort Morgan. Schultz waits for the whistle, gets it, and he will kick the ball off. Kind of a low-line drive kick that Pineda will field. No, he will mishandle it. It'll die at the 1. He will recover it, but his knee was down. So an unfortunate break there for Pineda. He was down at the 1-yard line, maybe the 2. It's on that far side away from us. The far sideline there. And that is where Fort Morgan will take over the football.
All I can say is, wow. First quarter, Roosevelt's making all the mistakes. Fort Morgan's hanging in this ball game, playing well. Second quarter, the other side of the coin, Fort Morgan's making all the mistakes. Now they've got to make sure that they don't get a safety with 20 seconds left in the half.
You would assume the knee would be taken here as Roosevelt can't stop the clock anymore. It'll be the quarterback keeper, which is probably a little bit safer of a play. Martins goes up through the middle of the line, picks up just a few yards, and we'll see if Fort Morgan wants to run another play before the half expires. 14 seconds showing on the clock. Martins coming over to the sideline to talk it over with Chisholm. And it doesn't look like he's in any rush to head back out to the huddle. So that will be the score. 20-6. Roosevelt leads here after scoring 2 second quarter touchdowns. That is our score here at Legion Field. 20-6, Roosevelt leads. We'll come back with our halftime, or we'll talk about some other teams in the Tri-Valley Conference that are playing this week, playing currently or have already played, and we'll take you around some other scores here in the halftime. 20-6, Roosevelt leads at half. You're listening to Mustang Football on B106 and B106.com.